Welcome to your May 20th, 2025 briefing on Homeland Intelligence Report. On today's brief, we will talk about a recent SCOTUS decision affecting immigration, Islamic State, and Al-Qaeda cells in the U.S., and what that means to ordinary Americans. In this and every episode, we strive to provide you with brief, relevant intelligence information free of conspiracy theories and unvetted analysis, which allows the mature, educated American to make good decisions regarding the state of the world and threats to the homeland. This comes curated for you by an active supervisory rank law enforcement officer with extensive experience in critical incident management, tactical operations, and public order. I am also a former infantry non-commissioned officer decorated in combat during OIF and former U.S. government contract staff member who specialized in intelligence and low visibility, high threat security. I have significant formal education as well as practical experience in all phases of the intelligence cycle. Through these lenses, I endeavor to read between the lines for you, the consumer, to help you form your own well-informed outlook on the world. No currently classified information will be shared on this channel, ever, period. As always, we ask that if you are looking for a worthy organization to bless with your charitable giving, please consider the Third Option Foundation. This organization works quietly to support the men and women of the CIA's Special Activities Division and honor the fallen operators whose names most Americans will never know. You can give your tax-deductible donations at www.thirdoptionfoundation.org. First, we will look at the second and third order effects of yesterday's SCOTUS decision to allow the administration to end temporary protected status for around 300,000 Venezuelan nationals currently in the U.S. This removes the legal protections for residency and work permits for this group. When the TPS program was created, it was intended for the Cabinet Secretary, currently the Secretary of Homeland Security post, 9/11, to protect citizens of certain countries from deportation or expulsion due to natural disasters, wars, or other, quote, extraordinary and temporary conditions, end quote, in their home nations. Many Americans know the criminal threat posed by the transnational criminal organization Tren de Aragua, or TDA. In the winter of 2025, videos surfaced showing TDA members effectively taking over an apartment building in Colorado. TDA is known for being exceptionally violent, on par with MS-13. In many ways, the administration has attempted to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport suspected gang members, but has faced significant legal challenges. One perceived flaw I find in our otherwise excellent justice system is the idea that the President of the United States can act within his authority as the head of state to order other executive branch agencies to enforce laws only to be foiled by a random federal judge in California or Massachusetts or Nebraska, for that matter, who can find that mandate to be unconstitutional or illegal and halt the entire thing. According to the Department of Justice's point system for suspected TDA members, more than 8 points are necessary to be deported due to being a TDA member. They are as follows: judicial outcomes and official documents, 15 points. Convictions with documents confirming membership in Tren de Aragua. Self-admission, 10 points. If the person verbally or in writing self-identifies as a member or associate of Tren de Aragua. Criminal conduct and information, 17 points. Participation in criminal activities with Tren de Aragua members, financial transactions indicating criminal activity, such as money laundering. Documents and communications, 25 points. Written or electronic communications with known Tren de Aragua members. Symbolism, 14 points. Tattoos, social media posts, graffiti marking Tren de Aragua territory, hand signs or clothing with TDA-related insignia observed by law enforcement either in person or through virtual means. Association, 6 points. Close associations with Tren de Aragua members, the DOJ actually has a standardized classification system for branding a subject as a member of a criminal gang, which has been in use for many years among American law enforcement. Additionally, that classification expires automatically by law unless it is renewed by further criminal acts. Recently, FBI Director Kash Patel detailed additional scores of agents to assist with identifying, locating, and detaining suspected criminal illegal aliens within the United States alongside other arms of the DOJ and DHS, like the Border Patrol, DEA, ATF, Homeland Security Investigations, and the U.S. Marshals Service. With increased law enforcement activity comes several effects. First, the likelihood of civil unrest or disorder grows as the actions cover more of the country and are personally visible to more and more citizens sympathetic to the cause. Additional law enforcement operations also raises the threat of violent action being taken against law enforcement, necessitating higher uses of force by law enforcement. Law enforcement use of force in the United States has been, far and away, the most volatile tinderbox for civil unrest in the last 50 years. Additionally, offensive attacks against law enforcement are more likely to occur as targeted operations increase around the country. Current law enforcement officers at all levels should remain vigilant, blocking your home address from tax and property ownership sites as best as you legally can. Additionally, on and off duty vigilance is doubly important, as once again there are elements within the United States actively looking to kill or harm law enforcement officers. According to Command 11, a risk assessment agency, there are currently Al-Qaeda, AQ, or Islamic State cells in at least 2 cities in the following states: California, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Kansas, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, South Carolina, New York, New Jersey, Maine, Minnesota, Michigan, and Connecticut. AQ has been reborn under the leadership of Hamza bin Laden, the son of Osama bin Laden. Hamza was thought to have been killed by a CIA airstrike in Afghanistan prior to 2020. However, it has been confirmed by several sources that Hamza survived the strike and is currently seated atop AQ, having formed strong alliances with the Haqqani network, the Islamic State, and several of its subsets, and relies heavily on the Afghan Taliban for shelter inside Afghanistan. For a deep dive into this topic, check out the Sean Ryan episodes featuring Sarah Adams, a retired CIA targeter and terrorism expert. Private intelligence has grown as an industry since 9/11. Major corporations have now learned they have intelligence needs which function apart from traditional government intelligence agencies. Companies are now affected more and more by regional conflict. Investments can sour due to terrorism risk and kidnap, for ransom has never really gone away. A recent report by Command 11 highlighted a likely attack target for AQ and its allies inside the U.S. Tier 1 trauma centers in mid-tier cities around the United States and Canada are thought to be targeted for a simultaneous Mumbai-style attack. This would absolutely cripple trauma response across a large swath of the country, as these trauma centers in cities like Minneapolis, Omaha, Des Moines, Fargo, and Sioux Falls in the Midwest, for example, served large, highly rural populations outside their metropolitan areas, unlike Los Angeles, for example, which is home to several level 1 trauma centers and can more easily flex the load across facilities. What does this mean for us? It means law enforcement agencies across the spectrum must collaborate and share intelligence. Agencies like the FBI cannot hide behind national security when keeping information from state and local law enforcement unless the FBI is fully prepared to carry out investigations, tracking, and apprehension of these individuals completely alone without any assistance. Furthermore, it will not be the FBI or HSI who are the initial responders to attacks. State and local law enforcement needs to be kept aware of current threats and trends. Understanding sources and methods are highly compartmentalized and need to remain absolutely secure. However, patrol officers, for example, cannot effectively respond to a terrorist attack when the only thing they are trained to respond to is a traditional active killer. For example, in an active killer scenario, law enforcement would find and clear the killer's vehicle after ending the initial threat. In a terrorist attack, it is highly likely there are explosive devices in that vehicle, meant especially for first responders. In a terrorist attack, there will often be more than one actor, even if one or more are hiding in the crowd awaiting the arrival of first responders. Make no mistake, AQ and its allies did not throw down their arms and stop fighting when we botched the departure from Afghanistan. The war has not stopped for them. Hamza has a deep, deep hatred for the United States and our allies. Navy SEALs killed his father and brother. The CIA tried to kill him personally. The American military and intelligence apparatus has tried to kill or capture basically everyone he knows, succeeding more often than not. The war is just beginning for him. With the current brewing unrest and distrust in the United States, law enforcement will become more and more taxed. As summer arrives across the country, family gatherings, fairs, block parties, and outdoor sporting events will be in full swing. These are obviously ripe attack targets. Many credible sources indicate the likelihood for countrywide, coordinated attacks sometime during 2025 as very high. This reporting has not changed since the end of 2024. It has been consistent in the assessment that the U.S. will see terrorist attacks on some scale this year. If you feel like you've gotten value from this information, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Look for us on Spotify and YouTube. Again, if you are looking for a worthy organization to bless with your charitable giving, please consider the Third Option Foundation. This organization works quietly to support the men and women of the CIA's Special Activities Division and honor the fallen operators whose names most Americans will never know. You can give your tax-deductible donations at www.thirdoptionfoundation.org. I hope you've learned something from today's update. As always, be well and be well informed.